Great
Good,
to see
yeah.
you again. Great to see you
Yeah, great to see you.
I know we connected last week and had a great chat there, but I'm really excited about our conversation today because now that it's summer and it's really vacation season, I feel like everyone can feel that travel is officially back, right? So for GroundTruth, we leverage location data to drive online and offline actions. And we've definitely seen an uptick in visitation to places like hotels, airports, rental car places, all of those things. And I was at the Atlanta airport last week and it was absolutely buzzing and very, very exciting to see. So I know we're not at like the pre-pandemic levels yet, but to kick us off, talk to us a little bit about how American Airlines has adapted to consumer needs over the past year.
Yeah. So again, thank you for having me here. I'm so excited. As you say, it is, such an exciting time as travel is rebounding, travel is coming back. Hopefully you guys all have your summer travel vacations booked because it is so fun to get out there and explore and see the world again. So, but yeah, for American Airlines, yes, as you could imagine, the travel industry was one of the, industries along with many others that were greatly impacted. And so, 2020, we absolutely had to look at everything we were doing and shift focus, considerably based on what we were seeing with demand and what's happening in the world. And so, in 2020 particularly, we had plans, for a big kind of brand message relaunch, and really we had to shelve all that very quickly and really looked at, okay, what does the world need right now? What do our team members need to hear from us right now? And it all, really then drew us back to really honing in on what the customer need was at the time. And so, at the start of the pandemic, it was really building hope, building morale for our team members. They were in the depths of COVID, they were flying, doing amazing things, getting essential services, personnel to where they needed to be, flying equipment and vaccines, even to this day, all around the world. So, so for us as marketers, it was really important to ensure that we had a brand message that also could tap into what customers needed to hear, as well as our team members. And so we kind of shelved our brand plans and very quickly launched with a new tagline, "You are why we fly," which, again, the sentiment was to just be really customer focused and focus on what consumers needed to hear. And, that's really shifted over the last few months or even last year, a little bit to reassurance. People have needed to know that we can travel and they can travel and we can take them there safely. So building reassurance, letting them know all of the ways that we're cleaning on board, HEPA filters, touchless kiosks and communications, and more use of the app than we've ever had before. So that's been exciting through to kind of, where we are a little bit more today with helping our customers navigate travel. It's, it can be complex with various state restrictions or country restrictions. And so we've invested in a lot of tools and technology to help our customers navigate, to understand what the restrictions are, so they can get back out to everything they love about travel.
Awesome. So it seems like there was really kind of like that emotional messaging that you wanted to make sure that the consumer felt, obviously during such an emotional time. And it seemed like that kind of rolled out in phases, right? Which I think is very cohesive to what media and marketing had to do. Like we had to adapt and whatnot. Do you think you're entering kind of into that new phase? And what does that really look like for you guys?
Like a new phase of marketing or?
Yeah, of marketing, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so we've, spent a lot of time, again, focused, we've shifted everything kind of to digital. And so I wouldn't say, we're in particularly a new phase. We're continuing to build on the things and programs that we established in COVID. A lot of what we're doing right now is efficiency based, flight bookings, trying to encourage those to travel. Making sure that they know, again, of all of the ways that we're flying there safely. But yes, I do see that, we are moving towards a little bit more back to the brand message, building that emotional connection. And of course, we want to encourage customers to know some of our premium travel options that we have. We've even launched some new ones, you know, in light of more of a leisure customer flying. So new ways that if they want to buy up into their experience, that they're able to do that as well.
Gotcha. So it seems like kind of your core customer has focused more into the leisure aspect compared to like the business traveler or the international traveler. How has your advertising tactics and channels kind of adapted to that new core customer? I imagine a ton of brands had to really look at who do they need to focus on now. So how has the marketing messages, the different channels, how have those adapted over the past year to get you to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, you know, business travel has declined, although you know we're so thankful to see that starting to pick up again. And international travel, particularly the longer haul routes, you know, those are still, you know, slowly launching and reopening as markets are emerging. So yes, our consumer really shifted towards a younger audience, someone who maybe wasn't as familiar with travel or hadn't traveled as frequently as some of, you know, our road warriors, your corporate road warriors, you know, out flying every week. So we really, you know, our tactics shifted to one, helping those customers to help them back to navigating travel in you know, really complex time. And from the media standpoint, you know, the channels obviously changed in terms of, you know, we were previously promoting long haul, business class, lie flat seats, the amazing products and experience that you have, you know, on an 8-hour flight to London, you know, and then really looking at shorter haul travel, domestic travel, quicker bookings that people were taking. More people than ever are traveling outdoors, going to national parks. So our network has changed, and we've adapted based off of what we're seeing that consumers are interested in, where they want to go. So yeah, the marketing mix completely had to adapt to who that audience was and where they were shopping and buying for their travel or buying their travel.
Gotcha. I know I, for one, am very ready for business travel to get back into the swing of things. I miss seeing customers and being able to see everyone. But kind of similar last year, you know, I had a few trips planned and then had to cancel them. But I actually went to the national parks in Utah and they were absolutely stunning. Would absolutely recommend anybody to go there who hasn't been there. But I know you oversee domestic and global advertising and strategy as well. Is your messaging for leisure travelers or your new core customer, is it the same domestic as well as internationally, or is it more kind of cohesive across the board, just really highlighting your new offerings and feeling comfortable and things like that? Can you expand at all? Yeah, domestic versus international.
Yeah, no, definitely. We have to adapt the message based on the market needs. So in certain markets where it maybe isn't open yet, we are not necessarily, we have a little bit different message. So in the US, we are focused on welcoming customers back. We have we're calling our welcome back campaign, you know, inviting customers back to travel because it is more open. There's a lot more travel within the US as well as Mexico, Caribbean, Latin America. But you know, in other countries, continents, you know, Australia, for instance, it's more of a we're here when you're ready, when the time is right, or a message that's letting them know that we're here when they need to travel. But we know, you know, that message may not be received the same way that it would be in the U.S. So we always look to globally adapt our messages to what that consumer is experiencing, but also you know, local cultural nuances as well.
Very cool. And when it comes to like the advertising channels that are most efficient right now, I'm assuming that you've developed over the past year, kind of have seen what works, what hasn't, and led you to where you are today. What kind of advertising channels are you focusing on? And are there any new ones that you're looking to incorporate? Or are you more kind of on like a maintenance mode right now with your messaging and who you're reaching out to and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, as I was kind of saying, we've shifted really into digital so we can be efficient. One thing that's been really important to us that digital enables is the ability to quickly change and adapt. And so as we've had to change and adapt, whether it be the creative message or whether it be a shifting of the media plan, digital has really enabled us to do that. So, you know, there's the typical players, right? Your programmatic, your social search is always really important. And then of course for us, you know, travel endemic digital sites. So that has played a really big role. as people are really getting back out there again, we may see other channels for us start to continue to be in the mix, like out of home or others. But for now, we are very digital focused because it allows us to be nimble, to make changes, and be very efficient, to find the travelers, to find the people who are ready to get back out there.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes sense. I think everybody's had to really be able to be flexible, right, over the past year in terms of communication and vendors and partners. And to piggyback off of that, how can vendors and partners really help you guys in more thoughtful ways, in addition to just executing media and working kind of on a day-to-day basis?
Well, as we've seen, planning ahead is really difficult. We do our best, but anything that a vendor or a partner can do to plan with us in parallel is greatly appreciated. We in order to meet the right mindset with the right time, we can't be booking, media, months and months in advance. We need to be able to be quick, adaptable. We need creative that's dynamic, that can allow us to change messaging on the fly if needed. So for us, it's all about being quick to be able to take action, or being quick to adapt to whatever the world throws at us.
Which it has thrown a lot, but for travel, I think we're here. I think it feels good. It feels normal. Like I mentioned, I was in the airport last week and it was just felt, again, everybody's just buzzing around. It just felt like kind of what it used to be. We went up to New York to visit our team and it was just like, oh my gosh, I know we're not completely out of it, but it felt just like so good to experience that, really. And I think moving forward, just in terms of media and advertising and marketing, it already, went very, very quickly, right? Always a moving fast kind of vertical initiative. And I think there's going to be less of kind of those upfront media strategies, executions, maybe even planning. And it is going to be more on like a quarterly basis, like you mentioned, or even less than that, just depending on kind of where we are and where the market is and what industry it is in. Mm-hmm. Do you think, I know with travel and especially airlines, you have kind of emergencies like weather and technical issues, and it can cause kind of a whole bunch of backups and you have to pivot very, very quickly. Do you think like that helped you guys at all in terms of like the advertising or marketing aspect, or this is just something kind of completely, obviously we haven't experienced it before, where it didn't really parallel there?
Yeah, no, I mean, airline industry is a very dynamic industry. Like you said, weather or world events, or, we're not immune from, the variety of different things that the world can throw at us. And so I would say, we have good processes in place that enable us to make quick changes on the fly, to react quickly when things are needed. I don't think anyone would have expected it quite like this, quite as big as it was. But we were very well, I think, set up to respond quickly in a time of crisis. And so, one thing though that I think that has even kind of come out of this, though, that's enabled us even better for the future, is just the amount of focus that it gave our teams. And I mean, we've never had to react quicker, and so it really showed what everybody could do when you're all focused on that one goal, how quickly you can respond, and really work together and collaborate, and really showed the need. Because when you're working in parallel, you have to be talking and communicating simultaneously. So, but it showed us that, even as quick as we thought we could be quicker.
I agree. And I think that's the same for kind of any company, and even, vendors like us as well, is we really had to learn how to communicate effectively internally as well as externally, and see, do we need to pivot somewhere? Do we need to develop something new, a different channel? How can we support our clients when, media is not even running? I think everybody had to be very innovative in terms of internally how they communicate and how they handle things, especially across teams. And I would say, I am a people person, so I love like being in person and seeing people and whatnot, but it did kind of force us to collaborate more, with people you typically didn't see in person or on a day-to-day basis, because everything, was virtual, everything was Zoom based. So I actually got to know some people a little bit better because of it, but I'm excited to go and see them in person. But I'm sure you work with a ton of internal teams when it comes to media and marketing, as do we. So to expand on that, how has your marketing team adapted to the changes? Is there anything in addition to just being nimble and quick and dynamic? Is there anything else that your team did very, very well and pulled together to make you guys successful throughout the past year?
Yeah, well, as any leader, right? I have an amazing team, so to talk about a few things that they did well, or strategies. The team was so great in sort of leading collaboration efforts across the company. So was so proud of all the hard work that they did there. We as well kind of adapted some of our creative development processes. So we've had varying models of hybrid, in-house external creative development. And this was a time period where I would say our in-house creative team really shone, because it was such a quick turnaround on some of the deliverables that we needed to communicate, as well as highly complex messages that we were communicating around cleaning and reassurance and policies. And so it was so amazing to see that team, jump quick into action and produce content, teaching themselves new editing techniques or creative development techniques on the fly, and then put out some amazing pieces of work to help inform our customers or educate them on how we were, keeping them safe during their travels. So that hybrid model has continued to kind of stay with us, and we've seen great collaboration then with our external agency partners. But it's so good to have that balance between when you can go in house for some really quick turn work, as well as an external agency that you can use and rely on for bigger projects, and how those two can work together effectively.
Yeah, I think being able to be flexible there and have kind of all teams firing on all cylinders, if you will, is always great and supportive for what you need to accomplish kind of on a daily basis. And having that agency, as well as I'm sure you still work with vendors and the internal aspect, kind of a full funnel and everybody on board, I'm sure is very, very efficient for a brand like yours to operate at such a high level. But do you have any advice for our audience members on leading during a pandemic, after going into kind of the new normal as we see it?
Yeah, I mean, in our industry, people have just had to be adaptable. There's been so many things thrown at ourselves, my team members, and I commend them for their adaptability, in this process throughout all the varying levels of change that they've experienced. But really, what some of the rock stars that we have on the team have done is they've really just taken on leadership roles. Even if they're not direct leaders of people, they've really rose to the occasion and shown that you can truly lead from every seat and lead within your sphere, and take the first step in collaborating with others, and sharing. There's no information that is sacred. We should share it. We should democratize it so that others can learn from what we know. So I commend my team's approach and ability to be able to do that in the pandemic, within the company.
I agree. I think it kind of forced you to, like you said, be your own leader, and for everyone who you might not typically hear from, right? It kind of forces you outside of your bubble and to communicate and to be heard. And it's really nice to see some of those people develop into kind of a leadership role, or just kind of a more prominent role within the company.
Yeah.
So I agree there. But given all the changes and everything that's happened, if you have, a crystal ball on you, what do you foresee as the projection for the travel industry in 2021 and going forward? I mean, I'm sure you guys are looking into 2022, 2023 of what that big picture kind of future outlook looks like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're so excited to see business travel picking back up. I mean, as you kind of hinted, It's so great when you're able to be in person with someone. There's no technical difficulties, right? There's no get off mute.
Is my internet on? Is it working? My dog is barking in the background. Sorry, guys. Yes, all the things.
But a lot of it is about that relationship you're able to forge, or that drink after the meeting that you're able to have with someone to connect with them on a different level. So we are seeing business travel pick up, and we're excited to see that continue. Obviously, international travel, again, a bigger part of our business as well. We're excited to see countries reopening, and we do anticipate consumers are going to be ready. We're seeing, demand, search demand picking up for specific long haul destinations. So we're excited, for our customers to be able to get out there and explore the world. From more of a consumer standpoint, I think trends like flexibility are still going to be very, very important. And I would say it's probably not a trend. It's more of just an inherent consumer need, right? And so, we, continue to have products and services, right, for that customer. Whoever, if you need more flexibility, there's different fare products that those customers are able to purchase. So we see that as something that is going to kind of continue on, and customers are going to continue to demand and need. And I think, as I was joining, I saw caught in the last part of this, and I definitely, can relate to this sort of hybrid nature, that we'll see both in store and retail, and then likely a hybrid nature as well in travel. And, consumers now have more flexibility in their personal lives probably than they've had, over the last few years. And so it'll be interesting to see as consumers take business trips, how they start to then blur those lines between business and leisure travel, and how they maybe extend their travel for business and turn it into a vacation, or working more remotely, but experiencing the world while they're doing it. So we look forward to some fun trends like that in consumers.
I can imagine it's going to pick up. I mean, it is picking up, but in terms of, you're right, we have more flexibility. We've kind of proven we could work really from anywhere. And I imagine that people are going to be like, hey, let me go, to Colorado for 3 months, or go to Mexico and then work and then go on a vacation. And I think the travel industry is really only going to go up from here, which I'm excited about. I know you guys kind of have that brand messaging of like, you are why we fly. Do you think kind of that emotional brand messaging, like supportive of a consumer, do you think that's important kind of for all brands moving forward, kind of less about the prosperous side and just more about the consumer? Do you think that'll be important moving forward for brands in order to connect and be successful with their consumers?
Absolutely. I mean, if ultimately, if we're meeting the customer's needs, then, that is the goal, that then the business is thriving because we are taking care of the customer and what they need and want. And, just as every other business is adapting, we're having to adapt our businesses and processes too, to make sure that we're meeting the needs of a changing customer. So yeah, I mean, our goal is to continue to be customer centric, to continue to learn, to understand, to know our customers, what they want and need in an airline. So definitely see that as a focus that is here to stay.
Awesome. And I think last question, because I do feel like we have a few audience questions. What makes you most excited about working with American Airlines? I know we touched a little bit about the future of, travel and whatnot, but American Airlines specifically, what gets you excited about working there?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I've been with American 10 years now, and what is exciting about it is there's never a dull moment. It is always changing industry, from I think back to kind of the various time in my career that I've spent here, and each sort of moment in time has carried with it its own unique challenges, which has challenged me as a marketer, as a leader. And so it keeps it very interesting, but it's also such fun when you can market something, promote something that you also love to do. I'm extremely passionate about travel, and the people here at American are great. So it's a great place to work.
Awesome. That's why I love the advertising industry as well. It just changes so quickly. It always keeps you on your toes. Never a dull moment. But let me see. I think we have a few few questions from the audience. Have you shifted your data strategy in the past few months at all?
Yeah, well, I think, we have been looking at, preparing for cookie lists. That's been a huge piece of what we do. So, we're fortunate that we do have, first party data, right? A massive loyalty program with Advantage program. So for us, we do know our customers, probably more so maybe than some other brands do, just by the nature of how we have data and what we do with it. But we are that's been a big part of our strategy, is how we're preparing for cookie lists in the ad space, and definitely kind of tapping into our first party data in obviously privacy compliant ways is a great way for us to be able to do that.
Awesome. I'm sure it's great having all that first party data. Are you, Mark, are you focusing more on kind of your current loyalists with the AA members, or are you more still looking to get new customers and drive new loyalists there?
Absolutely. With the pandemic, we saw a lot of younger travelers flying, those who were not in the loyalty program, because a significant number, I would say, are probably, traveling for work. So it really opened us to a whole new audience that, our goal is to then for everyone to be an Advantage member. We'd love for everyone to be in the program, and it really makes the experience with American better for the customer as well. So encourage anybody who's not a member to join the program. There are lots of ways that we enable consumers to earn miles when they're not flying too. So you can continue to be in the program and build up and save towards your next trip. So for us, it is loyalty and encouraging those to join the loyalty program, or to sign up with one of our great co-brand credit card partners is always part of our strategies.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely rack up on those points. They will come in handy later when you're booking those trips.
Yep.
How are you determining where to spend time on emerging technologies?
Was there any specific, I'm looking in that question, like any specific technologies or?
Just as emerging technologies. So I don't know if there's any, I know we're spending a lot on digital, or you guys are spending a lot on digital focus there. Is there any, I'm trying to think, I don't know, in gaming, or is there any different sort of like out of home, or just kind of any different digital aspect that you guys are probably looking into or are maybe looking into?
Yeah, I mean, right now, we've been a little bit in efficiency mode. So we're relying on kind of partners and technologies that have been tried and true. We are expanding on some technology partnerships that we have in the ad tech space and online space with our partners, Everymundo. They are a dynamic page provider, so they help us with technology that helps us to pull in dynamic feeds and create new landing pages on the fly and build dynamic content. So we certainly are focused, at least in the marketing space, on developing and investing in technologies that are going to help us to be faster, quicker, more flexible, more efficient. Because that's, as we said, that's the name of the game these days.
Yeah. Do you find more people booking in app or on your website? Like which one is more efficient for you guys?
Yeah, I think people still use their desktop, I think, to get out and do those purchases on their computer. But the app it continues to be a really efficient way to book a flight. But desktop still remains an important part of our strategy.
Awesome. Let's see what next. What are some of the biggest challenges and enablers in realizing the vision of your strategy, your marketing strategies? So what do you come across that kind of makes you scratch your head, and what are we going to do about this?
Yes. So challenges, absolutely. I mean, speed to market is always a challenge. We want to go plan ahead. We want to be planning, years. I think that's what again the last session was saying. They get to plan a year in advance, which that would be amazing. While the hard products, so I will say, we are investing in aircraft that are bought years ahead. Infrastructure within the airports, lounges, those things are all invested many years in advance. on the marketing side, then, we are hopefully trying to get back to, longer lead times, longer planning times. But speaking to that barrier, it is a challenge in our industry as a marketer, when you invest so far ahead in some of the hard products, the infrastructure, or you're constrained by maybe different things, the government, or are there sort of regulations you have in place. That is definitely a big piece of what we have to take into consideration as we're building our plans, building our strategies, and that some of those things are sort of built or invested in, many years ahead of that. So yeah, all about, trying to sync up those planning times and balance short-term needs, right, and long-term strategies.
Doing it all. You're going to just do it all.
Yeah.
In terms of a few other media channels, what role do you see advanced technology like AI playing in your future strategies? Is that something that you guys, an idea you're toying with or have already implemented it? Thoughts on AI?
Yeah, I mean, in sort of the technology space as a whole, as the airline, I don't know if it's technically considered AI, but we definitely are using things like biometric boarding. So, there's more and more technologies we're investing in to make the travel experience easier, smoother, more seamless. So, now if you're flying internationally, you'll have a biometric screen that you come up and it'll look over your face. So then you can board and you don't have to mess with your passports and scanning passports when you're boarding your plane. So just lots of technology like that helps to improve the efficiency of the process. Yeah.
Perfect. And then let's see. I know we touched a little bit on loyalty data. So how do you guys leverage loyalty data and insight to better meet customer expectations and needs in their experiences with American Airlines?
Absolutely, yeah. So anytime we're building communications campaigns, we're really looking at who is this audience? How can we build communications that are most relevant to them? We recently launched an email campaign where it's sort of using similar technology that would be behind like a Netflix, where it's able to recommend to our customers, you've watched this, so therefore you might like this. So you've traveled here, so therefore you might like to travel here. So using technology and algorithms to help customers and help offer them new destinations and places that they might want to travel to based on their previous travel preferences. So that's just kind of one way that we use technology to hopefully suggest destinations or travel options that they might find interesting. I personally love it when Netflix or Nordstrom is telling me what I should buy next. So,
yes. Make it easy. Tell me where I need to spend my money.
Yep. So hopefully customers, find that we're using your data again in a privacy compliant way that is, making your experience better. The goal is to know the customer, to have more personalized content. And so, we hope to just offer more experiences and communications that really, really do lean into that.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of that in different verticals and different advertising channels, that the personalization aspect is too detailed sometimes, but also really cool, right? Like you're telling me kind of exactly what I should buy or might like to encourage, a purchase. I know a lot of kind of airlines have struggled over the past year, as have any industry and brand. What do you think? Do you think that personalization aspect of it is going to set one airline apart from the other? Like, what do you think are going to be the biggest things for one or the other, or kind of all of them, to be successful moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is important for an airline to know their customer, and that will continue to set them apart. So, I can't speak to exactly what some of our competitors may have or maybe doing in that space, but our goal is to continue to just get better at leveraging that data to know the customer, to have a more personalized interaction, to offer them products and services that they would be interested in buying. So yeah, it of course will continue to be a differentiator if companies or airlines like ourselves can continue to use that data more effectively.
Awesome. And then in addition to some of the other channels that we've talked about, do you guys use influencer marketing or podcasts, lifestyle marketing, any areas like that in the marketing mix?
Yeah, we're excited to, after kind of pausing some work around influencers, we've launched our influencer program again. So we've got a good bunch of kind of macro, micro influencers that are telling the world about their journeys traveling abroad. And for us, it's about authentic, relevant storytelling. And influencers, do a great job of that and tapping into, their audiences that, are listening to them. So, so for us, we're excited that that's now a piece, that we have back in our marketing mix.
Awesome. And then I think we have time for one more question. This is a good one. As leaders, you are always developing your abilities. What are you looking to improve on in the back half of 2021? What skills would you like your marketing team to develop and focus on?
Ooh,
Multi-part.
that's a good one. Well, okay, looking at it kind of twofold. My goal as a leader for the back half of the year is to continue to focus on prioritization. As things start to rebound, as we start to get back to, old ways, like my goal is to really make sure to keep my team focused and prioritized on what are the most important things, because we are a smaller team, kind of coming out of this, and so it's important that I keep them focused on the right things so that they can have that balance in their lives. And so for then on the flip side of it, my hope for them is that they continue, to just be smarter, faster about the way they're doing things, using data, efficiency, all of those great things that they did so well in the pandemic. So I see Izzy's here to pull me out, right?
You got it. Any last minute words or